It's wet and miserable out here today. What am I doing? 2007 BMW 325D. I've got 4 other vehicles on after this. I'm on a bit of a tight schedule and I'm going to try something a little bit different with this. So I'm all set up now, and what I was trying to say is that in a vehicle of this age, so an older vehicle with an older ECU, which is an EDC 16, normally in the past I'd have used a tool called Kess, made by a company called Alien Tech. And I'd do it OBD because it's too damn cold out there to be pulling the ECU out of this today. So it's usually quite a long read. Put Kess in, that seems to be in the tool because that tool was around in those days. However, even though they've released a new tool called Kess3, it appears like they've only put the old software into a new shiny looking box, which I'll show you in a bit. And Autotuner, which is a fairly new tool that was never around in these days, seems to be the go-to tool nowadays. So what I'm doing, this is my first one with Autotuner. It's reading it quite quickly. I seem to remember with Kess, it's quite a long read. Don't get me wrong, it's not super fast. You know, it's on old K-line kind of communication networks, but it's chugging along there. So I think I'm going to gain some time and maybe a little bit of reliability. So this is my tool called Autotuner. You can see, you know, it's not the fastest of reads, but neither is it with Kess. And, you know, I think this is going to be more reliable. So just to explain, so Alien Tech created a tool called Kess and another one called K-Tag. And both those tools did different things. Kess done the reading and writing just via OBD socket like I'm connected now. And K-Tag allowed bench and boot reading. And they were good solid tools. And they domineered the marketplace for years. And then people like Autotuner come along and people laughed at them because they thought there isn't a market for these people. And they brought in kind of a little tiny tool. It did it all, kind of OBD, boot, bench. But of course the downside was they didn't come into the market till much later in the game. And everyone said, they're never going to really catch on. There's no subscriptions for it. How are they even going to make their money? And I don't know, what, 5-8 years on maybe, they're still kind of the strongest player in the market. And what they did, and I thought it'd be pointless exercise, they then went backwards because of course they were only focused on new stuff. They said, when we're not developing new stuff, we'll have a look at some of the older stuff and see if we can do away with things like Kess. And pretty much that's what they've done. So if you'd asked me like a year or 2 years ago if I'd be trying this on an EDC 16 with Autotuner, I'd be like, no, they don't have any experience with that. But what I've experienced more recently is Kess3, kind of Alien Tech's new tool in the market, which is just a new box with their old software on it. It's caused me more issues, and I've got out of those holes using Autotuner. So I've just gone straight into Autotuner today with an older ECU. And yeah, let's see what happens. I just hope we don't lose any time. So I'll try and show you. What they did is they took the old Kess tool and K-Tag and they put it in to a box like this. And at first, oh, that's pretty. So they combined it in a box, but they didn't upgrade the software behind it all, leaving a user interface that is poor at its very best. And of course, by not upgrading the software in it, it's like tuning a vehicle with a Nokia phone. So yeah, a great example of how a company rests on its laurels and doesn't try to innovate and just gets left behind. It is so cold today. Look at this. And I do this really weird thing. Even though I've got a pot of hot coffee with me, I'm not allowed to open the lid until I've completed my first vehicle and happily trundling towards the second vehicle. So I've got to wait. Okay, so the moment of truth. The new file's been written. The temperature 4.5 degrees. Trust me, it feels colder outside. It feels like it's going to snow. But let's start her up. It's always a good sign. Carry out a final diagnostic scan. I'm just getting that a little bit closer to opening my coffee. Thank goodness for that. It is absolutely chucking it down now. Customer's just been for a road test. he loves it. It's a bit wet. He said backlights up a little bit, but that's to be expected if you're not quite used to that power, so he needs to be a bit sensible with it. But the best part about the job is I get to open this. I really need to stop being so weird.